on my end anyway.
Well, apparently that's all that matters. Welcome to the Salt Circle podcast. My name is Hank, and with me is Ben.
Hey.
And this week we're going to talk about Gulliver's Travels, a book.
It's crazy.
Book.
What? Do you even recall, what led to this? I forget. There was a Whitnum joke, I think.
Yeah, it definitely just got mentioned, and then it was clearer that I could go on and on, because I can go on and on about the Whitnums.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I had read it recently-ish, so, I was in, obviously.
Yeah, so, but I think we should still start with the beginning, and starting with the beginning, my take on Gulliver's Travels is the beginning of Gulliver's Travels is garbage, and people are garbage for only remembering that part of Gulliver's Travels.
I mean, I think they serve a purpose. They definitely serve a purpose. I agree. And actually, in the back of my edition, I have like a Penguins Classics whatever thing, and is it in? I saw it somewhere in here. It mentions what are the two stories that you said, the book 1 and 2? Lucian and Rabelais. Rabelais?
Oh, Rabelais.
Rabelais?
Rabelais, he's
Lucian and
French.
Rabelais. Sure. Okay, yeah, it actually mentions those as
Yeah, Rabelais wrote Gargantua and Pantagruel, which were stories about giants, and it was a lot of the same kind of body humor that's in those first two books of Gulliver's Travels. So all of that stuff feels, having read Rabelais before reading Gulliver's Travels, really, at least in a thoughtful way, that all seems like he's just ripping that off.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Although, I mean, I also assume he's also riffing on travel journal novels that were just popular at the time, I think, that we just forget about, because that's how satire works. Is the satire is, if it's good, it remains, and now everything else we forget about. But.
So, I guess for anyone who doesn't know, probably a quick summary of each book. The first one is one of the ones that everybody remembers. He goes on a trip. Shit happens. Wakes up on an island, and he's tied down, and there's all these little people everywhere.
Yeah, the thing I'll give it credit for is it's pretty immediate with him at the beginning of the book, basically waking up and having been tied down by little people. It's
they don't
instant image. So people who don't actually read books and read first pages of books, they got that part down.
They crushed it. The second part, similar scenario. Shipwreck, ends up on island. This time it's with the inverse. There's giants on the island.
Yes, now he is the tiny man. Book 2, I think, is the most filler.
I could see that.
Book 1 at least has some stuff. Book 2 is...
Yeah, I
Come
understand
on, man.
now why we skipped it in class.
It's like you're literally doing the same kind of thing, but just backwards with some of the body humor stuff. Although it's even not as good. There's no peeing.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, he's like standing on ladies' nipples.
Mm-hmm. Book 3, he sails off again, and
yeah, he gets convinced by a really good offer.
Yeah, and
good deal.
This time he's shipwrecked. Or is it shipwrecked?
No, they're pirates. Take the ship.
Right, pirates take the ship.
They kidnap all the crew, and he just sort of leaves.
This is sad.
He gets away.
Yeah, he manages to get away.
They promise not to kill him.
Yeah, they promise not to kill him, and he finds himself on a shitty island, and then a floating island in the sky picks him up.
Yeah.
So that happens, and then there's some adventures there, and then that island sets him down in one of the king on the floating island, one of his earthly domains on the ground. They set him down there, and some stuff happens, and then he goes to Japan. Does anything really happen there? I get a little hazy around that.
Just the important thing is that people are very thoughtful, and they're so thoughtful that they need people to like slap them in the face constantly for them to be able to pay attention to anything that's happening or have a conversation. There's these flappers that'll just hit them in the face with these P-sacks.
Definitely the main chunk of book 3.
Yeah.
And then book 4, like that's a 10 out of 10 quality right there.
That's the tasty bit. Yeah. Book
That's
3 is where it starts to get interesting. He's at least making fun of something. He's like making fun of like overly logical thought and stuff. Like there's a story about them trying to make power by running water uphill.
Yeah.
It's like just
so much
like
stuff.
Bad logic, but he's making fun of a thing. It's just like, okay, you're making fun of a thing.
And book 4, same deal. Shipwreck Island. The gist of it, which we'll dive into way more, is horses are the smart, intelligent beings, and humans are the filthy, dirty, shitty, bestial, slave labored kind of things that are grotesque and hateful and all that.
And food and all that good stuff.
Yeah, your usual.
And like the part of some of the earlier stuff that's important for establishing in the Wynnum stuff with the horses is the like in the Lilliputian, in all these places he goes, he's like pretty enthralled by it's about like talking about the culture there and he becomes like a student. He's always like feels like he's become like a kid or a slave kind of situation, and he's like being taught by these nobles, so that carries over into the horse side of things.
Yeah,
but in all the other cases, he kind of holds on to his Europeanness, his Britishness, his Englishness. The last one he doesn't.
No. And actually circling all the way around to the beginning. Does yours have, I didn't know if this was a staple of all editions or just this one, because I didn't recall it, the letter from Gulliver to his cousin?
Yeah.
To his cousin? Yeah.
Yeah.
So he writes a letter to, is his cousin like the editor? Or the person who handled all of
the publisher, I think.
Yeah, basically.
It's to the publisher, to the reader is the first letter from the cousin talking about all the stuff he cut out. Cause it was boring. I wanted to make it a little readable.
Like bitched him out for over-editing the book and complained about how apparently there was probably another book length of just sea language.
Yes.
So that
again,
the interesting thing here is that it is very obviously meant to be written after book 4, so he keeps referring to humans as yahoos and Wynnums and his master Wynnum. So that's
talking about people in England criticizing him as filthy yahoos.
Then I need to
it's the good stuff.
Gonna like write a little star down next to this note I have because I actually want to talk about it later.
All right,
cool.
Well, yeah, some of the other things that are of note is that the Lilliputian story kind of ends because his time there ends because the kingdom he's living in is at war with.
Well, are we gonna talk about like the whole book at all? Like
yeah.
Well, I just I wrote down.
What did you want to? Yeah. Say what you want to say.
Interesting points. Just like kind of, I guess, more chronologically. I don't know if it matters. So
yeah, I know. I was going to talk about a structure thing. Fine, go ahead. Talk about your thing. Talk about your thing.
No, it's a quick note. I enjoy the fact that within again the very beginning of the book, because shit kicks off instantly. The ship is fucking going down, and he slams back a pint. Like that's his start to this whole thing is I'm gonna kick back a pint of brandy, and then like chips down bottoms up over the rail. Like I just wanted that to
all right,
fair enough. It needed to be mentioned.
I probably wouldn't have, but yeah, it's the kind of like weird little details that'll just happen.
Yep,
throughout the book. It's kind of Swift's sense of humor. But yeah, like part of the structure is like the Lilliputians. He's kind of brought into them, and they're at war with another faction, and basically the king of the Lilliputian society he's been hanging with, that have sort of enslaved him, is like adamant on him going and destroying their enemies.
Yeah,
just like wiping them out, and
really
it's built in that
him.
like, I mean,
just like he signs some stuff.
Yeah, I mean they let him live in a house, but he was supposed to do whatever the king said. He did get like a noble appointment.
Yeah,
after he
I mean he
captures
refuses
the fleet
to like outright refuses to carry out the rest of the order to like fuck everything up on the other island,
to completely subjugate the other society and make them vassals.
And you might be wondering what thing has caused them to fight. What horrible, terrible thing has caused these people to split in two. One half cracks their eggs open on the bigger side, and the other half cracks them open on the smaller side. So
it's a good bit.
Yeah, it's a whole. And this all started because way back when some emperor, what was it, like the emperor's kid broke his egg open on the small side or the big side, whatever side was opposite of common practice, and like died somehow from it. So he declared that, or no, like cut himself or something. He
just cut himself.
Yeah, just
that
cut
was
himself.
it. He cut himself.
And so he's like, everybody, I have a grave announcement. We're breaking our eggs on the larger side now. And if you didn't, you died. So it was cool.
Yup.
Good times.
Good times. Also, Gulliver puts out a fire in the Queen's palace by peeing on it, and she's kind of mad about that.
Yeah, like...
He was very proud of it.
Yeah, he was super happy with like his quick thinking. And, you know, in that same vein, poop servants. Because the Lilliputians are roughly 12 times smaller than normal people. So like everything they have is scaled down times 12. Not consistently.
Yeah, even their farm animals.
Yeah, like animals, trees. Like trees I think are 7 feet tall or something.
Yeah.
And it's not consistent though is the thing. Because at one point he has like a whole platoon of soldiers and horses on a handkerchief, and just there's some instances that they just use like hyperbole or whatever. But yeah, he takes a dump in the corner of his house because plumbing not really being a thing.
Well, also he's chained in there.
Yeah,
he doesn't have anywhere else to go at the time.
Yeah. So 12 times the deuce, and now these people have to take care of it.
Oh, gotta transport that.
What a shit job, am I right?
I like the first time he pees, it's like people going running.
Yeah,
to get out of the way.
He just like turns, because that's when he's on the beach and he's like turned on his side and he like turns over.
And he's being very polite about it. So he's always make water.
Yeah, make water or relieve myself of necessities or whatever.
That's that good.
They do have, I don't know. I was just kind of taking note of anything I like found interesting. So some of it is just like we have poop servants, and then after that, the little commentary on how they think that his watch is an idol, and like the concept of time and whatever like makes it our god, which real obvious. Like, we worship time, which I don't know. It's interesting to think about. I don't think there's enough there to talk about it a lot because it's like in your face. But and this one was more relevant. Going back through it after the Trump presidency is how they handle their politics, which is. Basically, politicians are chosen by acrobatics and entertainment. So,
they had a whole other system with like tying ropes around people.
Yeah, if you
and then
you like walked on a rope, And if it was like the higher it was, the like you got a certain color thread or something.
He was basically, but also they had two systems, and this other one had like won out over time.
Yeah,
Like people were supposed to be qualified, but just the emperor like doing this
actually
other bullshit.
Yeah.
They didn't actually follow that anymore.
Yeah, so that, also a fairly obvious commentary.
Yeah.
But I don't know, just reading it like post-Trump was like, oh, yeah.
Look, government's always been fucked up, and people have always been joking about government being fucked up.
Yeah.
That's just the thing.
But just, I don't know. Trump is just an extra level of ridiculousness. Like,
it's
especially now that I'm going to put the image into your head of Trump doing acrobatics to...
It's not. Nope.
Yep.
That image is not... It doesn't work. Nope. Yep. It just doesn't happen.
It's like an orange lava lamp.
404 error. Just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Just doesn't work. For one, I can't see his hair going upside down.
Yeah, that's the best part.
I mean, it isn't like knotted into that shape, so that probably holds fine. But the big contrast comes when then you get to the bigger people, because their government is fine, and they're it's kind of the same. It's just they're like disgusted at how fucked up the English government is once Gulliver like explains it to them.
Yeah,
and Gulliver is like, "Hey, I can teach you how to make a gun," and the leader's like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
I wouldn't dare. Like, just just like actually offended by the concept of being taught that like how to make guns.
Yeah, after being told how destructive and horrible they make everything.
Yeah, and he's like horrified that Gulliver is just like, yeah, we got these things that like launch out cannonballs. They'll kill like 1,000 people on a ship at a time. Like just casually mentioning all this bloodshed.
That's like the only thing in that whole fourth of the book, though.
Yeah.
Other than Gulliver, the naked ladies putting him between their boobs.
Yeah, they're
like, people are gross.
Yeah, they're just like playing around with him and stuff, and like they like dangle him from one of their nipples or something. They're like 16.
They make him
bullshit.
Yeah, there's a 16-year-old who makes him stand on her nipple, and he's not comfortable with it.
Oh no, dude, he's not even standing. He's like clinging. He's like hanging on it.
Okay.
Which is weird. I think worse.
Like,
but the reason why that's kind of like presented as gross is that he's small enough where his eyes are, I guess, finer than these large people. So he notices like all of their pores and all of their moles with hairs that are like the size of a person.
and all their smells.
Yeah,
and they sound all weird and gross.
Yeah,
just like everything about it is gross.
I guess
just all the grossness of people.
And
they're definitely described as just being people, not like weird ogres, just people that happen to be big.
Big people. Yeah, I guess it's like, imagine if you could see the minute details of everybody's body, like we would look disgusting.
People are gross.
Yeah. And then they kind of have a little commentary on how in Lilliput he thought everyone was super fair-skinned and like had really nice like featured like everything basically, because he couldn't see all of their tiny little flaws and stuff because they were so little. But they thought he was disgusting.
People. I mean, he did shit in the corner.
Yeah. And there was that little upskirt scene when he's like walking over the army and like, or they're having the army march under his legs, and he's like, a couple of young cadets or whatever.
But it's also like his underwear was just in such a bad shape.
Yeah, he's just like in rags.
Like people are looking up and laughing. Well, they were
right?
told
Why are
not
they,
to.
why would they laugh? Why would they laugh? He could like throw out a helicopter dick and like take out half their city.
People laugh at dicks, man.
I guess.
Have you not met people?
I mean, yeah, I suppose.
A big dick, it's just funny. Just it's comedy gold. So that happens.
The thing that kind of pissed me off about book 2 the most was when he gets home and he's like amused at how small everyone is. Like, oh, I had to move out of the way so I didn't step on anyone. And like, even though he's
so
obviously
dumb.
the same size, and I'm like,
He just keeps looking up.
Yeah,
he
keeps
hasn't
looking
like
up,
figured
like,
out
when
that he
his-
has to look down.
Yeah, when his daughter is like talking to him, he doesn't notice her. He's looking up. I'm like, this is.
I mean, he's clearly making fun of people who have written books like this, who have said how the world was different once they got home.
Yeah, it's just so infuriating.
It's not that funny, and he goes all the way with that bit. He goes all the way.
Yeah, he goes
and it's
all the
just
way
like,
through the end of book 2.
All right, I guess you're doing that bit. Okay, Godspeed, sir.
Yeah, and then in the beginning of book 3, like he gets home and his wife is so happy that he's home again, even though he was like shipwrecked and it was terrifying. Blah blah. Like 10 days later, he's like, hey, I know you're happy. I'm back.
And I know I promised I'd never leave again.
Yeah. I'm going out to sea. Like, just leaves. Like, it just says convinces her.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he also describes his kids as her kids. Like he does
sounds about right. Certainly by the end of the book, yeah.
Oh, yeah. But I'm pretty sure at the beginning of book 3, I'm pretty sure. He's like, and her children.
But, yeah, so then we get to book 3, where he makes his way to Laputa, the floating island filled with Rick and Morty fans.
Their eyes go in different directions because they're so wrapped in thought.
Yeah. They think so much. Yeah, this is the guys with the flappers. They have personal attendants who, like, hit them in the mouth and ears so that they remember to talk and listen to others.
Just the worst people.
Just the absolute. And I like how it says the women want to go live in the world below. Like, the women want to live on, like, regular Earth.
Uh-huh.
Because, ain't nobody want that. I don't want to deal with that.
Ain't nobody want to deal with that, man.
I'm not gonna lie, they go into a nice description of how the island floats and is steered. I skipped almost all of it and just wrote down fucking magnets in my book because they were getting all of these, like, imagine line AD and then line GH and EF, and if you move the lodestone along line A, that adjusts D, and it's like all this other shit. And I'm like, we're just good at magnets and move on.
Okay, Ben, let me tell you about this book by Kepler where he has a dream where he read a book where he was stolen by pirates, and then they took him and taught him about the people that live on the moon. And that was all a setup for his book on lunar astronomy.
Nice.
And how astronomy works when you're on the moon, if you're looking from the moon.
I mean,
these are actual things people would write.
Yeah.
Framing devices.
Yeah. Okay. I was also going to ask, Laputa, isn't that the name of the island in, like, the Ghibli film, like Castle in the Sky?
I think so.
Okay. I was pretty sure that's what it was called. I'm like, all right, I understand where this comes from now. But, one of those little things.
One of those little deets.
Yeah. I do like the description of their outfits, though. Like how they're all starry and suns and moons and instruments and basically a whole bunch of wizards up there.
It's all about cult shit.
Yeah. Cults are cool. I want to be in one.
No.
I mean, it depends.
I
On
mean,
the cult.
maybe you do. I don't.
It depends on the cult. Not all cults are bad.
Look,
Most
man,
of
don't
them.
just join a cult because of the robes. Don't do it.
Holy shit, your outfits are fly. Where do I sign up?
I mean, I've seen a person on Twitter saying, "Man, but the Ku Klux Klan's name titles are cool."
Oh, like
Don't be that guy.
Grandmaster Wizard or whatever.
Don't be that guy.
I mean,
That's a bad person to be.
Just like get into funk, like Grandmaster Flash.
Yes. There are perfectly good things with cool names or robes you could do.
Yeah,
Don't just join
most
cults.
of it. Honestly, most of it involving funk. Like if you told me a musician was up on stage in a blue robe with like stars and moons and musical instruments covering it, I'm thinking like funkadelic or something.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Sadly, not funkadelic in the story. Just
Not really. They're not very funk.
they're like the opposite of funk.
They have
Despite
their
having-
heads are crammed firmly up their rectums.
Yep. Though they are supposedly very
Although-
good at music. Or
Yeah.
have their own definition of good.
There's another thing. Kepler was also really into like matching musical notes to the planets.
Okay, well that's obvious because the music of the spheres. Like
Yeah, exactly.
that's important.
Yeah. It's all about those ratios.
Oh. That just okay. So there's a subreddit. r/the ratio. I'll let you all go check it out. Maybe don't open it at work. But, thank me later. Oh, you're doing it live? No, that's
What? I don't.
That's fine. We could do this now.
No, I'm good. I got the general idea.
Yeah, all
I
right.
don't
but,
understand what that has to do with ratios, but
It's
I'm okay.
It's a ratio. Would you like me to explain the ratio?
Oh,
So
I get it.
So we have variable t and
get it.
variable a.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I got it.
All right.
Got it.
You guys can anyone listening can
If you don't get it as a listener, don't worry
just
about
go
it.
there. Just go to reddit.com/r/the ratio. One word, all lowercase.
Mm-hmm.
We need
I've
like
heard
a
of worse
little-
ratio takes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, being honest, I was going to name a well-known ratio in math, but I realized I don't know any. So,
Nice.
any math ratio is worse by default because math is worse.
What?
I don't
No.
like math.
Math
I
is
would
fine.
not. I would not get on with these people. Like if I found myself on Laputa, I would be not well off. If
I would
they-
be infuriated that they're trying to make water run uphill.
Hey, that's not on Laputa. That's on the ground. So we can move.
Right.
We can move down. We can move literally down to Lagado, which is like one of their cities, one of the bigger ones or something.
I don't remember the logistics of a lot of that stuff.
Okay, it's a city ruled by the king, who is also the king of Laputa. Yeah, it's like also bullshit, but on the ground. And they have a
Nice.
whole academy dedicated to various ways to improve things that are all ridiculous. Actually, that's not a strong enough word. They're ludicrous.
Yeah, man, get out their way. Get
I
out
mean,
my
I would get out their
business.
way. The one guy was trying to reassemble food from human excrement. So it's literally just this guy, like, what did it say? I think it said something like he receives like 10 barrels a day or something donated. And I'm like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, that sounds like science.
Yeah. So he literally is just picking through it and like trying to remove the saliva and like get all the good bits out.
Uh-huh. Because I mean, it's the same stuff. Nothing was taken out by the body.
No,
So
it just passes right through. The only other one that I have written down was the dog, who there was like this guy, also a scientist, but kind of doctorish side of things, proposed a method for curing diseases where he got a bellows, shoved it up your ass, and like went to town.
As you do.
He demonstrated this on a dog for Gulliver. The dog like bloated up a bit because you are filling it with air. He pulled the bellows out. It let out ripped the world's largest fart and died. And then he tried to revive it by the same method. So, real top-notch science going down.
I mean, it's just not that far off from actual early science. It's the sad part.
Yeah. I don't know, man. How could anyone yeah.
I mean, it's worse. It's not actual early science. Yeah. I'm just saying. It's closer than it should be.
Fair enough.
They were just doing stuff.
Just throwing everything at the wall, see what sticks.
Pretty much. It's the early principles of science are just do experiments until a pattern appears. That's like Bacon's whole thing.
So, yeah, we get those nice experiments. I forget
good
what some of
fun times.
I forget
dogs
what all of them are.
farting themselves to death.
Yeah,
just wholesome, just a wholesome experience. Fun for the whole family. We could make a Jack Black movie out of it.
Oh, I mean, maybe we watch that. Maybe we do
It's just the fucking first book, though.
Isn't it? Is it just the first? I thought it was first and second.
It might be the second too. I don't know. But I don't think they get to the third or fourth, which is why I refuse to watch it.
This is reminding me, jumping back to book 2 with Gulliver hanging by the nipple on lady. You know some dude back in the day was reading this book and just getting a raging hard on and not knowing about giantess fetish. Someone introduced him. Yeah, someone introduced him to the concept of giant woman, and this guy just a whole new world.
He got woke to giantness.
Oh, and his ancestors carried on his legacy to DeviantArt. Anyway, we jump back.
This is what people had to do before DeviantArt. They had to read highbrow satirism.
Get those fanfics going. Honestly, I don't recall much, if anything, about his visit to Japan. I imagined it being racist, but I really don't know.
I don't remember either.
Flip, is that is that even in my 193? Yeah, let's do this. We're gonna find out about Japan. Do some quick skimming.
Nice.
It's oh right, okay, that's talking about how Laputa suppresses insurrections. Basically, they just hover over an area because the island is 4.5 miles diameter. So they just block out the sun and the rain until people give up, or they just slowly descend and crush them. Because the king was scared of descending too quickly and breaking the bottom.
I feel like he's just not in Japan long enough to
I don't think he is that. Sails to Japan. Oh yeah, and then he's like,
and I was
Japan. Oh my god, this quote though. But my stay in Japan was so short, and I was so entirely a stranger to the language that I was not qualified to make any inquiries, and just leaves. That's his time in Japan. So he doesn't know the language, and that's apparently a roadblock now.
He didn't know the language in any of the other places he went either.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But, like, you know,
I guess in those other places he was trapped there for
at least
for the first two.
Yeah.
It was kind of forcibly stuck there.
But still, that's just like, I can't be bothered. They're just normal people. Ugh.
Fucking Japan. Fucking weeaboos. Not an anime fan.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, rolled into Japan, like someone yelled Kawaii Desu, and he's just like, "Yo, is that Dutch ship going back?" But yeah, book 4 though.
Book 4 though.
Book fucking 4. Whew. I mean, do you want to start or
So it doesn't. It's kind of starts playing out similarly. Like it's kind of running the playbook of.
Oh yeah.
He meets the horses. He gets a master who starts training him in all their amazing ways because they're super smart.
I mean, also this time he leaves his pregnant wife behind. Just ditches her. But yeah, gets to the island, meets the savage humans who have, like, sharper claws, and, like, he decides upon seeing them that they're ugly AF.
Yeah. Lank. They got lank.
That's a good word for it, yeah. And hair. Lots of hair.
Man, things have hair. Fucking hair. Don't horses have hair? I don't understand his hang up.
I mean, they have fur, but it's like, it's a nice, lustrous coat. Like,
These
imagine
humans don't
like,
all
people
have.
with...
These humans all had mohawks.
I mean, imagine people with, like, that werewolf syndrome or whatever, where they have, like, excessive hair growth, and it's just like, ugh. Ugh.
I'm combining it with his previous discussing about, like, mole hairs. He's got things about... He's got hang-ups, man. Just suggesting that Gulliver might have hang-ups.
I am not disagreeing in the slightest.
His primary hang-up is it doesn't want to be at home. Fuck
yeah.
Oh,
yeah, like, just... It's wanderlust, but in a bad way.
Yeah. But yeah, the things start to get more complicated when, like, you could think of it as, oh, they're these horses are the people, and then these things that look like people, but they're not people. Except the Winhams make it very clear they think of Gulliver as a Yahoo who just happens to be particularly smart.
Oh, yeah.
And once Gulliver leaves, he makes it very clear he thinks of all the people in England, like regular people, as Yahoos.
Yep.
So
well, he even asks them to, like, stop calling him a Yahoo, and they're like, yeah, okay. But they very clearly still are like, that's adorable. You're a little Yahoo.
I'm not black, I'm OJ. It's kind of...
And obviously, they inquire about the workings of his homeland, and he explains that the Yahoos are in charge, and they're like, "Oh, that's weird as fuck. What do horses do?" Not pleased with the results from that inquiry.
Yeah, they go, well, I guess we're gonna have to kill all the Yahoos.
Yeah, like he basically
can't let this stand.
Like, at first they're all right. How could Yahoos subjugate such a stronger, like a physically stronger species?
Yeah.
Well, they're trained from a young age to be tame and obedient. It's totally not like domesticated slavery type of deal. It totally is.
I mean, Horses are just animals, though. It's fine. Not like people.
Yeah, over like the course of book 4, he just comes to absolutely despise humanity.
Yeah, it's bad. I actually think Gulliver becomes grosser than the horse people wanting to kill all the yahoos.
Oh, I'd say so.
Just because he's one of them. It's just,
like it's a bit of doublethink. Like he recognizes that all the humans are like yahoos and are gross and disgusting and vile and stupid, but he doesn't consider himself one.
No, he kind of. I mean, he
does,
kind
but
of
he
does.
doesn't.
He still considers himself kind of gross, but yeah. Horses are good, people bad. Clearly. Mm-hmm. Moral of the story is, don't value horses over humans.
Oh yeah, simple. That's right. Because he gets back in his horse at home. He starts like talking to it and like referring. I think he refers to it as his master Wynnum. In the very beginning,
two horses at the end.
In the very beginning, he talks like in the letter. He talks about his master Wynnum, and I'm not sure if he's referring back to the island or his own horse. This is reminding me. I had my thing to talk about.
He does refer to them as degenerate Wynnums.
Right. Yeah.
So they're not as the horses we have here. They're not on full Wynnum status. We'll say.
And this is also like, it's the only one where he wants to stay.
Yeah, yes.
Like all the other places, he's like, all right, I'm ready to leave. Get me the fuck out. It's interesting. Bye. And this one, he's like, this is nice. This is cool. I like this.
And they're like, yeah, we're going to kill all of you. So, I mean, you're okay. So we'll let you leave. But we're going to kill all these yahoos.
Yeah.
We're going to murder them all. And then Gulliver gets to make his boat. Which is my favorite part of this whole thing.
Yeah.
The ship of flesh. Oh my god. Babies make the best sails.
Yeah.
Because their skin is so soft.
Naturally. It should be mentioned that I'm pretty sure this will probably be false now that I'm saying it. Didn't Swift also write the satire thing about eating babies? I forget what it's called. Something argument or something like that.
A Modest Proposal.
A Modest Proposal, that's the one. Yeah.
Yes, that was Jonathan Swift.
Yeah, I was pretty sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same vein. Eating babies. Eating people.
I mean, he's not eating them. He's crafting a sail out of their skin.
Yes. Obviously much better. You have to use the whole baby. You don't want to waste any part of it. That's just disgusting.
Man. My favorite part is there are people that read Gulliver's Travels and it doesn't register to them how fucking horrific the Ship of Flesh is. They're just like, yeah, he was with those horse people and I guess he left.
Yeah. Like that was about to it. Like we touched on it briefly in class. Everyone kind of skipped over it. Like, ain't nobody want to mention this? He built a boat out of people. Like,
he slaughtered a bunch of people and made a boat out of them.
Like,
yeah.
Let's see if.
And then he went home to his family, and thought of his family as the same as he thought about those people he slaughtered and turned into a boat. Like he looked at his kids that same way. It was identical.
I mean, in 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. In the mid-1720s, Gulliver encountered a couple babies. Like, it's all very, very connected. Very, I would see. This is where I wish the C language hadn't been taken out. How did the vote fare? How did the sales compare to regular sales? These are the statistics that I find relevant and important.
It's such a good fucking horror image. You've been reading this whole fucking book,
like,
and then he just
like,
busts out.
Like, you can't make a sale out of one baby. Like, that's patchwork babies.
That is a collection of babies.
That is a very, and their skin isn't going to be uniform color. Like, ugh.
And you can't use all of their skin. It's not like a square.
Yeah. Which begs the question, what do you do with all the leftovers?
I mean, eat them. I don't know. Make a handkerchief.
Oh, God. Oh, that's an image I, didn't need. Just wiping your nose on a little patch of flesh.
Yeah, man. Baby's cheeks make the best handkerchiefs.
Oh, don't even... Jesus. It's just terrible.
When I read this book, I had a thing where I was not trusting of horses for a while, or horses in media.
I guess
just not. It's bad.
I guess part of some of the other things, like maybe people don't connect, and that's why they don't find it necessarily like gross and kind of horrifying. Is that the Houyhnhnms also did not have a concept. They didn't have words to express evil, and dying to them was not like bad. It was just a routine of life. So there's almost no empathy for death. They have no word to express evil, and they want to kill all of the Yahoos.
Their only words for bad things were ways to describe the Yahoos.
Yeah.
Like, that was the only connection to anything bad.
And I think, like, lying, language. They had, like, something like the thing that isn't or something like that. The thing that is not.
Yeah.
Because, like, Gulliver came and immediately, or no, maybe it was a concept that, like, the Yahoos had, like, forced them to make a word for or something. Regardless.
Mm-hmm.
These people who think that death is routine and have no word for evil are like, yeah, killing all these people is logical. It's the right thing to do, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, there was one Yahoo who was intelligent and could learn things. We have to kill all of them.
Yeah.
That's the big thing. They weren't gonna kill all the Yahoos. They were fine with them. But then Gulliver showed up, and they're like, oh shit, a Yahoo can be this, too. That's not okay. Unacceptable. Oh, they were fine with teaching him. Yeah. Not fine with the systemic implications of his existence, though.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, eventually they're, like, grossed out enough by a human living in a house. Why are you treating your Yahoo like a Houyhnhnm? That's disgusting. You let it in the house? Ugh.
I hear they shit in there.
Oh. I hear they start fires and then piss on them to put them out.
I love that at the end of the book, there's just a long thing of how he's talking about the veracity of his story.
Yeah.
It's like, this is definitely completely factual. Dare you to question it.
Oh yeah, here we go.
Which again is one of those probably genre things.
He gets back to his family, is filled with disgust and contempt for a year. He can't be in the presence of his family for a year. And he buys 2 horses and talks to them for 4 hours a day.
Yeah, he eventually learns to tolerate his family, but it's never on good terms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like for the rest of ever, they're just like, that's not going back to normal.
No, he has irreparably been shaped and changed by this experience. The other ones, they were not. He was just back to Gulliver
This
again
is
after a
like-
while. He was looking up at people for a while. It was all fun and games. Not this time.
So, I guess this kind of makes it not necessarily scary, but I guess a little bit an extra layer of creepy is that Swift also suffered from dementia. Like, I don't know if it was during or after writing this or to what extent, but you know, that whole thing just kind of like horses, killing spree, flesh boat, dementia, like it's not a great combination of things to imagine.
I'm pretty sure he had the right sense of humor about what he was writing, though. It's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, we have enough examples.
Oh, yeah.
Good. But this is also a good example of the ways in which comedy and horror are like of the same cloth in certain ways.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And like dark humor.
Yes.
It's a hell of a thing.
Yeah. It's just on my the links between comedy and horror are more on my mind this year because of Get Out.
Gotcha. I mean, if I saw it, I'd probably know more what you're talking about, but I have a rough idea.
Yeah. It's just like that the structure it takes to structure a good joke is the structure of a good horror punch a lot of the times.
I mean, and season 4, episode 1 of Rick and Morty, maybe they build a baby boat. It's not something I would be surprised at.
No, that would be on par.
They I think they tread that line pretty well sometimes. Like, definitely more on the comedy side, but like if you stop and think about some of it, it's like, oh fuck.
Yeah, I mean that's Rick's motto. Don't think about it.
Don't think about it.
Don't. It's bad to think.
I do think, despite not liking the second book much at all, and like I like the first one especially, but that's because I have a real hard-on for like scenes and stories about learning other cultures.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think in Lilliput and then I forget the actual name of the island, but with the Winhams, sorry. Winhams. He definitely goes into the most detail about their cultures. So
I mean, he goes into a lot of detail about stuff in the third book. It's just I start to glaze over at a certain point because it's fucking nonsense. Yeah. There's so much nonsense.
It's just a lot of silly things.
Yeah,
but I do think the books kind of help illustrate my interpretation. And I suppose I could find arguments for this and like write a nice essay on it, but I'm not going to. I think from book 1 through 4 in that order, he gets more and more kind of like sick of humanity. Like the Lilliputs maybe plant that seed and they're not that bad, they're not that different, but they have some stuff that they do better. And then obviously by the time you're in book 4, he's like, fuck people. Like you'd make a good backpack.
Yeah. I mean, I can see wanting to say people suck after going through book 3. It's like, this is worthless. There's nothing good here. This is all waste of time.
Just gets back. I have seen some shit.
But yeah, don't value horses over human beings.
No.
Don't do it. No, don't do it. Nope. I know what you're going to say about valuing certain animals over people. You can do it as a joke, but that only goes so far.
Yeah.
Only so far.
This is just bringing back like flashbacks of all the... So my sister used to ride horse.
Mm-hmm.
like showmanship and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Horse girls are fucking nuts. Like, they actually do value the horse over people. Obviously you have that spectrum of normal to full-on crazy, but once you get to the more of the full-on crazy side, it's actually kind of scary. Like,
I don't want to be a backpack.
Yeah, man, they're talking to their horses. Like, I don't know. I don't want to see myself through their eyes. Maybe I'm just a pile of steaks and canteens.
You'd make a nice saddle.
Yeah, exactly. 2 birds, 1 stone. She said she wanted to ride me, and I was into it for a while.
Just have to get rid of all this meat.
What a book, though. What a book.
What a book. Yeah, I enjoyed the first book a little more on this reading. I saw a little bit more of what was actually there, particularly at the end of it. Second book is still, it's just filler.
No, it's dull. It's blah. I guess it's because, like, he's so little, so when he, like, makes the shit talk there, it's just, you know, he's taking a little shit, and it's not funny. It's too small to be funny.
And it's just too much like, it's like the last book, but reversed.
Crazy.
It's just, I'm part of my personality of not getting bored of seeing the same shit again sometimes with certain things.
Mm-hmm. This is like making me... I wouldn't want to do a full discussion on it, so I'll mention it here. The Canterbury Tales.
Mm-hmm.
Have you read it?
Yep.
Some of it, yeah. The Miller's Tale, though, like, some of that same kind of just, I don't know, the dog died via farting. Like, just the part where the dude sticks his ass out the window and, like, the person's nose goes into his butthole, and I think the exact phrase is, "lets loose a thunderous clap of a fart." Like, doesn't all have to be Shakespeare, people. Got some classy stuff here.
My favorite metaphor in a famous book, though, is in Thucydides, which is all about the, like, Greek wars.
Mm-hmm.
Is the phrase, was it cold bun in a warm oven? Or warm bun in a cold oven? I can't remember. It's a
metaphor for?
It's decrophilia.
Like, okay, definitely a warm bun in a cold
It's a
oven.
warm bun in a cold oven.
Oh, man. Oh, dear. Oh.
It's one of my faves.
I mean, like, that's obviously before turning them into a sailboat.
I mean, yes, that is a much older book.
You got to get the most out of your Yahoo.
And bring a couple corpses for the road.
You know what? Maybe they're like... All right, hear me out. Maybe the Houyhnhnms are actually real, and maybe some of them have somehow made it into mainstream media. Because, like, now we got BoJack Horseman going around. Like, how long is it before people just accept intelligent horses? How many steps do we have to take before, you know, the first battleship arrives on our shores?
I mean, it's basically Blade Runner.
Which I still
with replicants.
I was invited to come watch the original movie, but ironically, it was during the set time for, like, this podcast last week. And, you know, commit to the podcast. I'm not letting this go down like another wasted vat of pasta. So, spaghetti cast up in here. Cold, fucking moldy in the fridge.
That's a cold bun in a cold oven.
But, yeah, so I was like, yeah, I tonight doesn't work for me. And people were talking about how we would go see the new Blade Runner. And I did Taco Tuesday last night. And invited Crump, his new girlfriend. That's a story for another day, but it's a thing. And he asked why I didn't go see the new Blade Runner movie with them. You gotta fucking invite me first. Like, I need that text. Like, no one followed up on me seeing the new one.
Why didn't you come with us to the thing we didn't invite you to?
Yeah.
Huh?
I mean, I don't like it.
Why aren't you fucking stalking us? Fucking asshole.
It
Piece
does
of
not
shit.
bother me in the least. Like, I'm not someone to be bothered by that shit. Like, whatever. Someone thought someone else was texting me. But I'm just like, I don't know why I didn't go.
That's how podcasts die, Ben. That's how podcasts die.
What? Start skipping them to hang out with friends?
Well, also, you have 3 people and 2 of them, neither of them email you.
Yeah. Or they say they'll get the episode sent to you, and then they never do. Fucking Canadians. Too busy hacking a persona to
maybe one day we'll have 3 episodes that we've recorded and not uploaded.
2 of them are relevant because one is me talking about no, we got the Vienna one up, didn't we? Okay, so like maybe one of them is just like, I think one is me in Russia. So that one's probably relevant because it's like talking about Russia.
Mm-hmm. I just remember you complaining about them being relevant, then putting one out that was super late and not relevant anymore.
No, that one wasn't one of the relevant ones.
Okay.
The Vienna one
I think it was on like before Zelda had come out. It's like
that sounds about right.
Out.
I think the Vienna one was partially relevant because it was talking about Vienna. But yeah, okay. Like probably at best 1.5 of those are like at all relevant.
Well, I think that's an episode.
That sounded like an episode. We started with poop jokes and we ended by taking shots at Spaghetti Cast. So I feel like we
low hanging fruit. It's all low hanging fruit.
What do you think the Houyhnhnms do with the testicles?
I don't know. Eat them. That's the thing people do with testicles, right?
Ugh. I mean, I'm not surprised.
I can't think of anything else you would do with them. Plant them in the
little,
ground and hope a tree grows.
Like little knickknacks. Also what is it? Onomatopoeia? Onomatopoeia? Onomatopoeia. That's the one.
Onomatopoeia.
Knickknacks.
Paperweight.
Oh, dude, they'd roll. I mean, I guess if you have the whole sack.
Yeah, you put them in a new sack.
Oh, okay.
Like a leather sack made from...
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
If you collect enough of them, you like give the kids a slingshot for Christmas.
It's like a fidget spinner. You just roll them around in your hand.
It's like a fidget spinner. It's like one of those like that stress rocks that you rub with your thumb.
Yeah, you just squeeze it
right in the palm of your hand.
You just squeeze it as hard as you can. Relieve stress.
Yeah. That'd be a terrible spread. There's no give. You just squeeze until you break and then you gotta get a new one. Gotta kill another Yahoo.
Well, I mean, there's always more Yahoos to kill.
Endless supply, bro. I
mean, I assume, except until the Houyhnhnms killed all of the ones that were near them.
Nah, I mean, you keep them in, like, that's why you keep them in captivity. Like, you just keep breeding them.
You kill all the replicants, and then you make new replicants.
Yeah.
That's the thing. All right.
This has been another episode of Salt Circle Podcast.
Yeah, you can contact us at saltcirclepodcast@gmail.com. Leave a comment at soundcloud.com/saltcircle, where you can also find our episodes. You can hit us up at Twitter at saltcirclepod. You can find me on Twitter at Comic Panels.
And I'm on Twitter at bean_LP.
It's been an episode of the Salt Circle Podcast. Thanks for listening. See ya.
poop jokes.